What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did close 0.4% in the red, 1442 the low, 1485 the high. Pre-market was actually showing some signs that it wanted to break out. Regrettably, CPI had other plans, so it caused a crazy pullback with the broader market, because looking here at the month over month and year over year did come in hotter than anticipated, so not necessarily the best. But one thing that happened with the broader market that didn't necessarily happen with SoFi is that there was a recovery because of this. So a lot more individuals started to look at the true data. And so on a month over month, it went up 0.5, but energy did make up 1.1% of that. So if you just do the basic math, it means that other basket items did in fact go down. This is why the Feds like to look at PCE rather than CPI. But this is how you saw a little bit of a recovery across the board. Just SoFi, for whatever reason, it lagged, and it was a weird day overall. But a couple other additional things. So Trump did, and it kind of looks as though he's trying to orchestrate some peace between Russia and Ukraine. So that could be developing over the next week. And then aside from that, Powell. So Powell spoke yesterday as well as today. He kind of reiterated the exact same thing, the fact that we're going to see, for the most part, no cuts for at least a longer time period, longer than what I even stated yesterday. So most likely up until like September of this year. But all in all, he also did mention the fact that the economy is very strong. Even most recently with the manufacturing data, which was above 50, shows more of an expansion occurring within the broader market. So I agree with him. Data is exactly on point, with the exception of course, inflation data. But somehow within all of that happening, SoFi just lagged. No news, no SEC filings from SoFi itself. So they had their news that came out yesterday, as well as a fireside chat. No SEC filings. So it was kind of just piggybacking off the broader market. You did have shorts increase 224,000 shares today. 11.69% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 125.84 million shares overall are being shorted. No new analyst ratings as well. So when I saw SoFi somewhat lagging, I kind of figured maybe there might have been a negative rating or negative article, but honestly, no real substantial anything. Just more of a regurgitation of what has come out. So the fireside chat, as well as that recent news about the premium memberships. So yeah, it was kind of just a weird day. But moving over to options, you had 11 million in calls, 3.79 million in puts. 48% of all the options being done today were optimistic in nature. So despite kind of the laggingness, if that makes sense, I know I like making up words, it's still essentially you had a good amount of bullishness through options. So today there was 15.1 million in total premiums. Yesterday 19.3, day prior 16.3. So somewhat kind of in line with the average of the call options that were purchased today. You see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $16.50 to $17 range, and then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub 14. So despite everything, you are still seeing a lot more upside than down. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So a good amount of buying, but in comparison to the last several trading days, rather the frequency was lower, meaning just not a lot of transactions. Although if we kind of look over at the dark pool, so going forward, I'll start giving you more updates on the dark pool, but definitely a lot of big transactions there. So dark pool often enough is used by shorts and other large entities, and it's kind of used to avoid any crazy volatile swings within the secondary market. So you have 4.4, 2.6, 6.9, 21 million. So a lot of big money or shares are trading hands today. 6.9, 2.7. So a lot of big transactions occurring on the secondary market. Like I said, a lot of which could be correlated with shorts. And shorts have been kind of hit and miss. Sometimes they've been waking up, sometimes they just been stagnant. but them increasing 224,000 shares definitely is interesting. They pretty much just increased straight away from the gate from CPI, and then they didn't really do all that much since then. But moving over here, with it closing at $14.77, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So $14.70 is going to be that next strong support that you really want to watch for it to hold. And then the low today was $14.42, so it did bounce off of this general area of this S2. So going forward, we know that's a good support level, so kind of a good thing. But with PPI coming out tomorrow, Powell actually even specifically stated that they're going to be watching PPI data because that's going to be more of a precursor for PCE, which again, the Feds like to look at. So you could see a very nice recovery, or you could see another retest, another pullback. So just watch for $14.70. Flip side, $15.12 will be that next strong target / resistance. On the actual chart itself, let's kind of pop over here. So with it at $14.74, it is right below the ALMA still, so not really enough to get above that. That's currently sitting at $14.95. You have the 50-day moving average at $15.74. So I think in general as well, that's one thing that's kind of affecting SoFi is just the technicals. Technicals are lagging, and with kind of the not same level of buying coming from big money, that is directly correlated and kind of affecting it. So I think right now you definitely need good data, PPI tomorrow, retail sales on Friday, to really incentivize some buying into SoFi. If not, then historically speaking, below that 50-day moving averages does result in a little bit of an additional pullback. So just watch for that, but you can kind of see it's just hugging the ALMA as it does go down. But stochastic RSI is very oversold, so if you do have a good piece of news, then yeah, you could see a rush of kind of value investors getting into SoFi. I don't know. Let me know your viewpoint on all of that. I've noticed as well, Anthony's been very active on social media, kind of engaging with more SoFi investors. So I think that's kind of a good thing. But no matter what, though, as I mentioned last week, I think in general, the big thing about the sentiment right now being largely negative, he needs to do something, just give investors a good reason to buy. And one way to do that is for him to physically buy more stock. And I know that kind of sounds weird to say it when he's done that so many times, but SoFi investors are very emotional, and no offense to a lot of individuals, some of you might not be, but I've noticed from my comments, like if it goes down like 5% or 10%, people start freaking out like crazy. So you really need to calm investors, and one way to do that is simply just buy the stock yourself. Shows that at these prices, it is a steal of a deal, I completely said that wrong, but and that he still does see more upside from these prices. So let me know your viewpoint on SoFi. What do you feel was some other attributing factors why SoFi lagged? Do you think it was because of Powell once again reconfirming that there might not be any cuts, at least for the foreseeable future? What's your general 2 cents on SoFi? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you want some good buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Pretty much all the earnings that have come out, all the ratings I've given and targets have hit. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.